More victims of domestic and gender-based violence are beginning to speak out as awareness on the subject continues to deepen. In fact, more persons now know better than they put when their marriages get toxic, learning a lesson from many more who have died from abuse. Olawakon was at a program in Lagos where victims of domestic violence recounted their experiences.
Many have died due to domestic violence, but these victims are fortunate to be retelling their stories.
This man beat me to a state of death. I was rushed to Badagry General Hospital.
David, not his real name, is one of the men who have suffered torture from their wives. He says his wife was killing him slowly by applying deadly chemical substance in his food and water for years.
I stumbled on a bottle of laboratory reagents in my fridge sometimes March last year, and asking questions around, I discovered that the health challenges that I've been having, that I've been going through since 2016, were side effects of somebody that has been injecting these laboratory reagents for a long period of time.
Why was she doing this?
So I discovered she was trying to run away with my daughter to meet an ex-boyfriend in the US.
3 months in my marriage, I was already experiencing brutality.
Beatrice Omoraru has moved on with her life, but what she experienced is best imagined.
In the early age of my marriage, I was always the one, slaving. I was actually slaving for him, to keep him alive, to keep him well. I wasn't thinking about my own self. So he did that. At 23, I got married. So it was like that till I entered my 30s. And when I entered, I lost my own job, my banking job, and so I was like a full housewife, and he liked it that way.
David and Beatrice are among these victims here who want those still enduring domestic violence to leave before they die.
They should look inward. Sometimes you don't know that you are strong until you are out.
The case of Titi Arowolo, that her husband, who was a pastor, stabbed her 76 times. But we thank God that justice has been served. Mr. Arowolo has been sentenced to death by hanging. It was just shocking.
Convener of this program, tagged Above Abuse, has channeled his energy towards rescuing victims of gender-based violence. He believes religious organizations are causing more harm in this regard.
You don't spiritualize relationships. That is where, what I call manipulation, where there is no consequence to abuse, where somebody gets away with the crime because somebody says, well, God said this is your husband, God said this is your wife, God said. No, God did not send somebody to kill somebody. So when you see the work of the devil, you need to flee.
Olumide Omoshebi, founder of the Gnosis Help Initiative, and other speakers make it clear that men and women should look before they leap into marriage.
I pray that as we continue to preach it, as we continue to say something about the harmful effects of domestic violence, every one of us will get to know about it, and it will become thing of the past in our nation.
With stories from these victims, it is obvious that domestic violence is still on the rise. But relationship experts and psychologists are optimistic that with opportunities to speak up and more awareness created, this menace can be reduced in the society. Olawakon, TVC News, Lagos.